Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm.
You know, a lot of us have grown up around trucks as kids with all the big names. Mack, International, Atkinson, the list goes on and on. But there's just something about the brand of Kenworth, and you're about to see plenty on this week's episode of Classic Restos at the 2019 Kenworth Classic. They called it the Grey Ghost. The year was 1971. This model behind me was the first all-Australian-made Kenworth to roll off the production line in Bayswater, Victoria. It was the Cabover K125CR. And from early iconic days of product evolution and almost ruling the highways and the byways, a celebration for Kenworth showcases here as possibly the biggest classic Kenworth show in the Southern Hemisphere. There's lots of history here. After World War II, there was a big need for development of long-haul trucking in Australia. Rail was proving inefficient, and Australia faced a shortage of suitable trucks to fill the gap. Lightweight prime movers and rigids couldn't handle the rigours of the potholed Hume Highway, and European trucks couldn't take our extreme Aussie temperatures. This paved the way for a better truck, and that was a Kenworth. So righto, we have a paddock full of trucks. And why? Well, there's two blokes, Bruce Gunter and Dave Chapman, known as Chappo. It was Dave that kept pestering Bruce to start an all-Kenworth display day. Chappo would ring Bruce every day for 55 years. Can we do it, Bruce? Can we do it? So basically, Chappo was such a pain in Bruce's ass, so 4 years ago, Bruce just had to go ahead and give us this, an incredible day at Clarendon, New South Wales. We love trucks, but Chappo's history with Kenworth is what made it to be a real show to remember. Kenworth Trucks Australia and Gilbert Roach, the local Kenworth dealer, have got behind this event and supported. There were over 320 Kenworths last year, and it's growing. It doesn't matter how much I film here today for Classic Restos, this is a pinhead of what this day gives and brings to the people. A storyline of hardship, making tons of money, losing it, breakdowns, helping fellow truckers, literally millions of roadside stories. Yep, these are the blokes. The ones that stop for lunch and shine their tyres, polish the bull bar and squirt cologne through their cabs. Our salt of the earth truckers, all here catching up with one another. It's all about blokes' mental health at the Kenworth Classic for 2019. As we move on through the Kenworth Classic for 2019, well, we're low in frame here because we got a big guy up there in the seat. We've got Sam. We've got Justin Kloss. How you doing, Justin?
I'm good, Fletch. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Now we're starting today's episode as a tribute to Dane. It's a terrible situation in the brotherhood of truck driving, and just recently we've lost a driver. You've had a lot to do with many drivers. Tell us a little bit about this truck and how that works in with Dane.
Okay. Well, this truck here, Dane wanted to represent his uncle. Uncle Earl Vintnell, and then he sort of, as a young kid, that was the first truck that Dane ever sort of rode in, and just he always had a soft spot, so he got a chance to buy this new truck, which was a 950 limited edition truck, and then he wanted to paint it up in his uncle's colours, and that sort of just sums up how much of a guy he was. He was very patient, he was a guy with passion, he was a guy with love, he was just an all-round great guy in the industry to have. Great friend and just a downright great person. Great father, like he's young bloke Sam there, man, it's sort of, and just awesome,
Apparently, Dane being incredibly meticulous with his driving as well, like everything just had to be immaculate, right down to his paperwork. Everything was just spot on all of the time, is what I'm hearing today. He was just an incredible operator in the industry, serving it proud.
Oh, definitely. Like Dane was a perfectionist. from cutting his grass to washing trucks to tyre blacking his tyres. He had a system for everything, and the way he done it, he just done it perfect. You know, and that's one thing. Like, we've been friends for a long time. We could never. He was an inspiration. You know, like sort of, and he was 36 years old. You know, like to see the equipment he's got. You know, the family and friends he has. Just sort of, it's just amazing. All because he's just an awesome guy.
Over 300 trucks turned up here last year, and we've gone over that amount this year, and you can just feel the camaraderie, and that's what I love about it. I've always liked to, you know, get behind you guys and support the trucking fraternity wherever we can in our classic trucks, and it just really hits home hard at a time like this where you really do realise how strong things are.
Oh, definitely. Like, this is, you know, a moment like this venue here is where sort of, you're right, it's like a brotherhood. These guys are like the last Mohicans. They're the ones that sort of still fighting to, you know, and you look around today and look at the pride. You know, look at the pride that's involved, and again, look at the way these trucks are kept. It's just, you know, you don't see that on the freeways today. And with Dane's famous words, where style's everything.
Here we go, we've got Sam here, the son of Dane. Hey Sam, tell us, what does this truck mean to you, buddy?
I really like it because the colours are blue, gold and yellow and black. And I like it because my dad had attributed it to his uncle Erwin, and that's why I really like the truck. What I like about Kenworths, they are a lot better than Volvos, and I like them because my dad bought heaps of them, and that's why I love Kenworths.
Yeah, this is the next generation of truckers right in that seat there, and that's sort of, you know, and you can see who can carry his dad's passion and pride and style, you know, with it sort of everywhere it goes, which is cool.
Justin, I just want to thank you and your brother Turk for having such a big involvement for this weekend with Chappo and Bruce. And look, you're no stranger to classic restos. Shannons at the Shannons Club. Watching classic restos, do a scroll back, and you can see this guy down there at Lara in Victoria with Kloss and the fabrications that they do. Just recently, we rehashed some old episodes, and it was the episode, you remember that one, Just I had to get the milk crate to get up level with you.
That's right, yeah. We had a good day that day, wasn't it? Like,
absolutely. So you can search for that on the Shannons Club. In the meantime, Justin, thanks again, mate.
Thank you very much, Fletch, and thanks all.
And keep in mind, if you own a classic bike, a classic car or a classic truck, make sure that it's insured with the best with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And if you're really enjoying these episodes of Classic Restos, keep in mind that there are over 325 episodes awaiting you, along with a whole heap of other cool stuff on the Shannons Club. For more information, visit shannons.com.au.
I spend a lot of time out here. The RT Charger's the real deal. An E49. Remember A-Charger? I've always got projects on the go, so Shannon's laid-up cover helps protect my restorations. I'm Mopar through and through. It's a passion Shannon's understands. I wouldn't insure my cars and bikes with anyone else.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
Hare and Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare and Forbes has the range.
Of course, the mighty Kenworth was imported from the United States into Australia before manufacturing began here in Bayswater. A story behind me, the first Kenworth sold by Brown and Hurley in 1965. To tell us more, here is Jim Hurley.
Well, this is the first Kenworth we ever sold in 1965. A bloke by the name of Doug Whiten from Toowoomba bought it, and then it was on sale to another fella, Alf Boardman, who was carting oil rigs, shifting oil rigs out in the Simpson Desert. And we had it traded in 2 or 3 times over the years, and Then I got this idea back, I'd like to restore it. So we got it back and I restored it for our 40 years in business. Well, we'd been selling Leylands those days and diversing a bit from this truck. But the importer of whites at the time, going back, when we were selling whites, he bought in 2 auto cars, one with a 671 Detroit and one with a 250 Cummins. And my dad went down to see him in Sydney and begged him to bring some more of these trucks in. He went back to the States and the Yanks convinced him that gasoline engines were the way to go. And he bought in these petrol engine whites, these 28 whites, and they used fuel like you couldn't believe. About that time the B model Max came in and away they went, but if this Maury Point would have done what my dad wanted him to do, probably they'd have never got the stranglehold of the market they got at the time. When these Kenworths came along and they were looking for a distributor for Queensland, and Ed Cameron came to see us and we agreed to it, and at the time we thought there'd be a limited market for trucks that expensive. Ansett bought 12 and then people started to see what they could do on this overnight freight from Sydney to Brisbane, and that created some momentum. And the reliability, it totally changed the transport industry in Australia, really. Like these trucks of Ansetts were doing Brisbane to Sydney in about 14 hours. And like with the trucks that were about at the time, they'd probably do one leg to Brisbane, Sydney, and maybe back to Brisbane in a week. And these trucks were doing, you know, four round trips a week on shuttle. What I say, there's Kenworths and other trucks, and to me anything but a Kenworth's a substitute. And you're probably aware that I'm involved up the National Transport Hall of Fame in Alice. It all started with this truck actually. When I got it back, Detroit rebuilt the engine, Rockwell rebuilt the back end, Goodyear gave me the tyres, and I spent about $120,000 on it. So I conceived this idea that if I put a new truck there, in 30 or 40 years, you won't have to restore it. So I went to Kenworth and the dealer group, and every new Kenworth that's sold, we put in an amount of money, and we're putting about 1.5 brand new trucks a year in up there now. We've got 22 brand new trucks that'll never leave the place. So it's, yeah, passion, I guess is the word.
Kenworth Classic, how cool is this? It's like a big bloke's barbecue. All the blokes catch up. This is out the front of Chappo's truck. He's got his bath towel hanging on the ball bar to dry. I'm going to turn it over for him, do the right thing, you know. There you go. How cool is that? It's got Kenworth on it. Look at that. I bet that towel's seen some action.
This is a Kenworth Classic, and we've been running it for 4 years. Bit of a strain on the old voice here, as you can hear. I'll try and keep it up, but yeah, we do it. It's more to catch up with our mates. Once a year, we're all going to go and have that barbecue on a Saturday, but we never seem to have it. So once a year, this is what we do. We catch all our mates up from far as Tasmania, all the way up the eastern seaboard, and they just turn up, we shake hands, and we have a bit of a yak about what's going on in the transport industry. So I'm a mechanic. I'm probably under the trucks more, covered in oil and grease. Half the people here can't recognise me because I'm not covered in grease and overalls. But a lot of the blokes love polishing trucks, and they love their Kenworths, and so do I. So what we do once a year, we come out here, polish the Kenworths up, meet our mates, meet blokes like Fletch, who is a good mate of all of us. It's not a competition here, who's got the best trucks, because we're not into trophies here. We give a few awards for blokes who are die-hard Kenworth owners. We might have the worst looking Kenworth here, or the best looking Kenworth. And we do it for blokes. It's a fairly dangerous industry, as everyone knows. We've just lost one of our good mates that blew the wind out of our sails a few weeks ago. And we do this for those blokes, because in this game, you just never know. And we're all getting a lot older as well. So yeah, this is what we do. We love catching up with our mates that we haven't seen all year or even 20 years.
1974, big year for cars, big year for trucks. How you doing, Paddy?
I'm good, Fletch. How you going? Yeah.
Good, mate. Good. Great to catch up with you. Now, tell us the story. Apparently, you've had this truck since brand new.
Yeah, we ordered brand new, and back in '74, we got it through Kenworth at St Peters, and we just wanted a bigger engine truck, and this is what we could get. So that was the biggest one on the market at the time. But she's not a big truck today with these big powered 600 odd horsepower Cumminses. So, but she's still all right. She's still pretty good.
Paddy, back in 1974, well, to me, this is a big truck. What sort of power are we looking at in the V12?
Yeah, it's 475 horsepower, V12 GM, or Detroit now. It's 1,300 foot-pound of torque with a 13-speed Road Ranger and dual-range Eaton diffs, 44,000 pound with the Harbour Bridge modification on the diffs.
Paddy, what did you do with it? Did you pull road train?
Yeah, we bought it to pull road trains of cattle, like to get them out of Queensland quicker so we could catch the border in daylight hours. Back then we had to do that, so and it done the job for us pretty good, so it did. So.
Now, over the duration of owning the truck, tell us about it. The amount of miles or kilometres the truck has done, how many engines it's had. Has it been a good truck over time?
Oh, it has been a good truck over time, Fletch. It's had 5 engines in it. Like we put the original engine back in it here. We had a 12 in it, and then we put a 92 in it because the 12 failed. Put an 8V92 in it, and then we put a 400 Cummins in it, and then it didn't stop in there long. We put a 525 Redhead in it, and then we went back. When I retired, I put the V12 back in her. So, and she's done about between 7 and 7.5 million Ks. So, she worked for 27 years. She did. So, she's done us proud. She did.
Is it an emotional truck for you? Like, you've had it for so long. Obviously, you're not going to sell it. Is it obviously run deep with you, this truck?
Oh yeah, that's why we restored her, and like we had a chassis rail laying each side of the shed there, and we restored her right back up to where she was. Take the bull bar off her and the mud guards and the sign right, and that's how she come out of the factory. Everything's still the same. So, you know, I could put twin turbos on her, but I don't want to do that. Like this is how she was, yeah. So we'll keep her as it is, Fletch, and see how she goes.
Mate, naturally aspirated and leave it be, eh?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. That does me. She'd be too quick for me otherwise.
Good on you, Paddy. It's been a pleasure catching up with you.
Yeah, good, Fletch. Same here.
And,
yeah.
Look, you know, every classic vehicle has a story. It's extra special, though, when you speak to the person that's had the vehicle since day one. It's a real credit to you, mate. Good on you, Paddy. Well done.
Good, Fletch. Thank you. Good to speak with you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Yeah. How you doing? Do you know where I can get a cup of coffee? Hello? She'll never get ahead.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannons Home and Contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannons.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
If you have a restoration project, Hare and Forbes has the tools that you need. Shrinker stretchers, dollies, mallets, bead rollers, profile gauges, professional panel restoration kits, and so much more. Now I warn you, enter at your own risk because you will end up buying something. So come along to your Cap City store or browse and buy online at machineryhouse.com.au because Hare and Forbes has the range.
Making our way through the incredible 2019 Kenworth Classic here at Clarendon, New South Wales. The trucks have stories, and so do their owners. How you doing, Jerry?
I'm very well, thanks, Fletch.
That is great. We've got a 1986 Kenworth truck here. Boy, it's been some places. It's got some stories. What can you tell us?
Been around the world, bought it brand new in 86 in Shepparton, Kenworth dealer. Worked it for 6 good years, sold it, It found its way to Perth about 7 years ago. Some good friends, the Kloss brothers, said, you must get your truck back. I said, well, I'm not sure I really want it back. Went over and had a look at it. There was enough spark there to get me driven again, so we purchased it for 40 odd grand, brought it back across the Nullarbor and started the long journey of the Resto.
It's fantastic, Jerry. We're talking a 925 series truck, right?
W925, correct.
I was attracted straight away when I saw the Pirelli cables, or that company's now been taken over, or to see it there at Uluru or Ayers Rock. And the first immediate reaction is, I've got to talk to this guy.
I took X amount of loads out there in '88, and we had to hurry out, and there was an RDO on the Monday which we were unaware of. My other driver said, what are we going to do now? I said, well, we're going out to have a look at the rock. And went out, drove around, went to the Sunset Strip, took the photos, back in them days, the old Mamiya camera, and I actually give the negatives to Pirelli cable, and they run with the logo for X amount of years in their advertisement.
Jerry, tell us about your restoration. We've got a picture board in the front of the truck here. I love that as well. Love a picture board. I reckon that's pretty cool. But tell us about your restoration, mate.
We actually stripped it down to the bare chassis rails, or the Kloss boys did. When I looked at the vehicle, still had the original motor in it, the original Bud wheels, the bull bar.
Still a runner?
Still, oh yeah, it was a runner, yeah. A little bit knocked around, worse for wear, but there was enough there to run with to get the passion up and running again, and this is the end result. It is nice to see.
What was your first year you got behind the wheel, and how long did you drive for, Jerry?
We grew up on the farm at Nafaya, had the trucks on the farm, so we reckon we got it down pat when we were about 13 or 14. Yeah, went interstate when I was 20, and it's been a good journey.
The amount of guys that I've spoken to over the years where they were 12 and 13 and out on a country road back in the days where their dad would just pull over and put them behind the wheel, off you go. And back in those days, the kids would go off, and well, that's how they learn.
That was their learning curve, and they got it down pat. I think that's what we admire now when we see the young ones now in the truck with their dad. But it is so much harder because all the OH&S and that, you're very limited where you can take them. So it's still nice to look around here and see the young ones with their dad.
Well, I've always been led to believe that the true diehard truck driver, the most successful guy, is the guy that was in the cab with their dad on school holidays, and the grandfather before them, and it's the old school, I guess, as well. If you're not in them, you're under them, and they just become such a part of your life.
They did, and they picked it up so easy, because they were around them from such a young age, and they learnt, they were taught the right way, and so it is great to see.
Jerry, it's been wonderful talking to you, mate. You're an absolute gentleman, and like all the guys here, you just serve the industry so proud. I have the utmost respect for you guys and what you do, and the trucks that have been restored and the ones that are here today on the paddock that are still working. Mate, all the very best to you. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks very much, Fletch. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and enjoy the day.
Thanks,
beautiful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Trucking history in Australia. It's always been very interesting. And by the time 1978 rolled around, the Kenworth plant at Bayswater, Victoria, doubled in size. Now, large fleet orders were not unusual, but the order that got the tongues really wagging around the industry was an order from Finnemore's Transport, when they ordered 31 Cabover Kenworths at a value of $3 million.
We've had a fantastic weekend here with a rollout that we never expected, with probably over 370 Kenworths alone. It's been a great turnout. We do this event because we love Kenworths, and we do it because we love historic trucks and modern trucks where people take pride in their equipment. And we do it for blokes' mental health. And after the passing of our good mate Dane a few weeks ago, and as tragic as that was, we've been able to make this a bit of a tribute to him. Probably as a bit of closure for all of us after we had his funeral last week. We're very lucky, life's short, but the amount of people that have come together for this event and gotten together, and the brotherhood that's come alive here, is something that I haven't seen since Razorback 40 years ago. So it's a fantastic thing, and we all do it because we love doing it, and we do it with a hand in our heart. It's been fantastic.
Well, I hope that you have really enjoyed this week's episode of Classic Restos, of course in tribute to the late Dane Ballinger. As I say at the end of every episode of Classic Restos, no matter where you're watching the show from, until next week, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm.